So yesterday, David Vonderhaar went on with Game Informer and talked with them a little bit about Black Ops 4 and more specifically Blackout to kind of round out the content that Game Informer has been doing within the month of September for their cover issue of the magazine. And while on the podcast, they talked a ton about Blackout as a whole with a lot of stuff that was really covered, some of which we're probably not going to get to today in this video. I'll leave the link down there in the description below if you guys want to check out the full entire podcast here with this. Totally worth watching if you have about 40 minutes to sit down and want to just hear a nice little conversation back and forth between Game Informer and developer. It was really cool, really insightful, but regardless, we're going to be wrapping up a lot of what we know here from this one, the big talking points, and giving them over to you guys so you can have a better understanding of what to expect here coming just in a few weeks' time with Blackout in particular. So that said, let's just jump right into it. The first thing that I feel like we need to mention is something that doesn't really need much more explanation outside of this, but the post-launch, the game is going to be optimized more for regular PS4 and Xbox One. For those of you guys that have played on the regular systems, a lot of you guys did tell me over on Twitter and comments, wherever it may be, that you had a little bit of, say, frame issues, some graphical issues, whatever it is, but it's going to be more optimized now for the official launch of the game and with Blackout going into both those consoles, not only just Xbox One X and PlayStation 4. One interesting little tidbit of information that I saw from Digital Foundry earlier in the day actually was that Xbox One X had better graphics, but PS4 had better frame rate, so hopefully those can kind of come in line as well and be more so a little bit of a standard across both instead of having to sacrifice one or the other depending on the platform. The next thing that Vonderhaar mentioned and that I'm really looking forward to is that they're really looking to push the player count to 115 players. Right now, they have 100 players being internally tested and is in relatively a sound, good nature for the launch of the game, so it's very possible we see 100 players at launch here for Blackout, and that's good news, I think, because that's the target goal that has always been out there from the earliest inklings of information that came out about Blackout. We already knew that 86 worked wonderfully server-side and also on the game engine side, so when it was bumped up to 100 for 3 hours at the end of the beta, that's when the initial test started, but it seems like it's going well internally as well, so that might be the new standard. But the goal currently outside of 100 is for David Vonderhaar 115, just because, well, you know, zombies and all. The next thing that was mentioned outside of this was actually a little bit of the leveling system within Blackout. We saw a little bit of a preview here of what this would be with the kills and the win merits, but that's not actually exactly how it's going to go in the final game. It's probably going to follow the same basic pathing of that and the same formula, but maybe not as easy to do. But that said, max level in Blackout is going to be 80, and Vonderhaar said that the leveling system is going to be very different from multiplayer, and it's apparently going to be quite hard to get to level 80. So that said, there's also no prestiging in Blackout, so once you're 80, you're done, which kind of to me makes me wonder how tough it is to actually rank up if it's an 80 and done thing where you don't have the opportunity to go over again, unless it's one of those things where Blackout plays around with seasons in which they'll re-rank people each season. So I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but it's an interesting thought maybe. But Vonderhaar said that you're going to be able to get kills and place highly in matches of Blackout to level up. We saw this briefly in the beta again with the kills and wins counting as merits, and if you had a handle on it, you could really rank high up there in the final days of the beta. I know the last day alone or so, I went from level 23 to 25 or something like that just based off of solely kills more than anything else because I was just playing super aggressive that day. But the progression at which that ranking will go will apparently be slower and much tougher than the beta. So what adjustments will be made, who knows, but perhaps it's one of those things where instead of 1 merit counting per kill, it's 1 merit per 5 kills in a game or something that if you don't get those 5, you don't get any merits over it. It doesn't carry over to your next game or whatever, but regardless of what it is, Vonderhaar also chimed in that saying the highest level of Blackout will grant you, and I quote, the granddaddy of prizes, though not providing any specifics. But whether or not you have that granddaddy of loot or whatever it is, you'll get some loot as you progress through the ranks no matter what. To what that may be, I have no idea, but apparently there's a ton of different loot and cool unlock rewards as you go along. But that said, the next thing they also discussed was that of level 3 armor and armor in general, to which Vonderhaar said that removing level 3 armor would be the wrong call. Where I know a lot of people really want to see armor removed, but Vonderhaar's idea behind this was that armor has a big part in the game and how you play it, and that removing it wouldn't entirely be the right call here for this, to which they're looking to completely overhaul the system if they have to and make the changes necessary, but not completely remove it. In the beta though, they already reduced the spawn frequency of level 3 armor by 75%, and now only making it available most frequently being available in supply drops and stashes, where occasionally you'll find it on the ground as well. Additionally, level 3 armor also breaks sooner and passes more damage to the player wearing it instead of how it was on day 1, where it's just a sponge machine, and level 2 armor was also minorly adjusted and maybe monitored and changed further. Players also now see the indicator of armor's visible health state, though I personally would love to see that push towards a more percentage base coming at some point, and I think that'd be the easiest way to know if you need to swap armor out or keep it or drop it, whatever it may be. If you end up seeing, say, one that has already taken 2 shots instead of 3, but the armor icon might be the same. So in that sense, it's much more precise with a percentage, I guess. That's my take on it, but armor isn't going to be removed, but instead adjusted still progressively as we go on and the launch actually happens. Outside of armor talk, Vonderhaar also stated a little bit of what we can expect for upcoming events within Black Ops 4. Now, these are particularly for Blackout, but I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of bleed over and crossover events as well, so these might actually even play into regular multiplayer as well. But Vonderhaar stated that he's seen over 175 concept for unique events internally, which is absolutely huge and means that we'll get a ton of content this year, but we also have to bear in mind that those are concepts, not finalized plans for events, so we won't have an event almost every other day for this year as that number suggests, but instead it'll be whittled down to maybe about half of those, and we may see a number make its way in around half. But regardless, with only just under a dozen in World War II, that's still a massive overhaul and a massive increase to the number of content that we'll end up seeing in the year to come within Black Ops 4. So whether it be 175 unique events we see in Black Ops 4 or we see it come down to, say, 30, I'm still incredibly hyped because that's still a lot more than what we already had in World War II, which compared to Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Mastered was a whole heck of a lot of events in World War II as is. So it just progressively gives us more content year over year, and I'm all for that. The next big topic of discussion that he ended up giving us was custom games in Blackout, but there was no confirmation on that. Earlier before the beta, David Vonderhaar said that custom games would be coming, but not as how we imagined them, which always sounded kind of weird. But in this interview with Game Informer, he stopped short of confirming it and then said that they have a vision for getting it ready for launch, but wouldn't confirm nor deny, since Treyarch are obviously working on it still, and it may be something that has to come post-launch, not at launch. So that timetable is still up in the air and to be determined, but for right now, they still have the vision of custom games for Blackout, but that's something that I totally understand. With 3 huge modes, multiplayer, zombies, and Blackout, custom games might not have been on the forefront for Blackout. We always see custom games in multiplayer, yes, but it might not be something that they consciously were like, oh, that actually should be a great idea, let's put that in. And so just from the beta feedback, that might have been the first time they heard about it, or it even came up in a relative discussion that that's really what the community would love to see. So as for this, I understand the sort of delay on it, but I'd love to see this if it ends up coming and has the possibility to come at launch. That said, custom games not confirmed, but still being worked on. Other than that, we can kind of breeze through the rest of this kind of stuff. There are going to be more character skins in the game, of course. That's a lot of things that we ended up seeing in Blackout already. We saw the 10 specialists, we saw our zombies characters, the premise characters of Richtof and Nikolai Tachyon and Dempsey, and then also Scarlet Shaw, Diego, and Bruno. Then we also saw the legacy characters of Mason, Menendez, Woods, and Reznov as well. I'm personally still hoping at some point we end up getting a Hudson character skin. That dude, so criminally underrated in the Black Ops franchise and Black Ops universe. Obviously, back in the day, everybody was all like, dude, Hudson's my man. But as of recently, many players might not even know who Hudson is. But I'd love to see Hudson as a character in-game. And of course, all types of characters. I'd imagine we get Harper from Black Ops 2. So many other characters you can pull from the Black Ops universe. There's also going to be more weapons in the game, not only just at launch with the beta, but also going further into the content season. Any new DLC weapons that are added in post-launch to Black Ops 4's multiplayer and zombies are bound to end up in Blackout as well. Additionally, audio is going to get worked on here, and can I get an amen for that? I know that spatial audio was very buggy. You ended up seeing if you were on, say, a multi-tiered structure, you couldn't tell if somebody was right next to you or 3 stories below you or 3 stories above you. It was kind of just all right there, and there was no real barriers to dampen that audio. So that's being worked on, and hopefully that gets fixed out and ironed out entirely for the launch. But I'm super excited to hear there are adjustments being made for it. Apparently there are no muzzle flash changes coming, and I know that people had issue with this, so that might be one that's hotly contested and a big topic of discussion for the community, and maybe we end up getting some adjustments post-launch, but not right now for the immediate launch. Inventory also will not be able to be open when running on consoles for launch. That's something for those of you guys that didn't know is actually possible on the PC build. They said they were looking on making it maybe possible, but right now they're not going to be allowing it outside of a certain little, not exploit, but kind of weird way to access it. So that's something that you might see change in the future. Right now there is no ranked play or ranked matches in Blackout. They're looking to maybe do some crazy tournaments throughout the year for the game, game, but not officially ranked like a league play for multiplayer would have that sort of tie with it. And finally, the last thing that was mentioned was, of course, more plans to expand and add more to the map. Vonderhaar gave no specifics here for this one, but said that 3 days ago at this point, when he went and looked at what was proposed, there were some sick ideas. So there's a lot of open area on that map. I would expect a lot of points of interest to be made, maybe taken out as well as the year progresses, and just we see this constant update to the map itself. So I'm all for that. Put in Hijacked right outside of Cargo or something like that. Put Combine right below Turbine or something like that. Who knows? There's so much that could be done. But that said, that is where we're going to wrap it up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. A lot of stuff to digest here with this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What is your favorite? I think that I'm personally looking forward to the most the number of events we're going to have here within Black Ops 4 and, of course, the ranking system. I am so stoked to just grind out levels in Blackout. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough to try and balance multiplayer with Blackout for me in particular, because I love both modes so far of what we've seen, and I'm just super stoked. So that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. If you are also new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, Call of Duty content in general. We got a little bit of World War II still left up on deck, so stick around here. If any of that interests you, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter, best place to get connected outside of YouTube. If you guys want to follow me over on Instagram as well, a little more active over there. So that said, thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.